The item in evidence bag 27B wasn't money. It was a pregnancy test. Positive. With my name on it. I stared at the EFCC evidence log through the glass window of their Lagos office, my world tilting sideways. Commander Okafor held up the Ziploc bag like it was a grenade. Miss Amina, can you explain why Chidi Okonkwo had a positive pregnancy test with your name and last month's date on it? My mouth opened. Nothing came out. Because I'd never taken a pregnancy test. I wasn't pregnant. I couldn't be. Mustafa barely touched me, and before him. Chidi. 8 months ago. But I'd had my period. Every month. Regular as clockwork. That's not mine, I whispered. Your name is written on it. I can forge a signature. Chidi's voice came from the interrogation room speaker. They had him in the next room, watching this conversation. I can fake medical records too. Ask her about the abortion clinic receipt from July. Abuja branch. My blood turned to ice. Mustafa stood behind me, his face unreadable. Is he telling the truth? No. My voice cracked. I've never been pregnant. Never had an abortion. This is another frame job. Then explain the clinic's records. Commander Okafor pulled up a tablet. They have you on file. Name, phone number, payment receipt. July 15, 2024. July 15th. I remembered that day. I'd been in Kano, at Hawa's daughter's naming ceremony. Dozens of witnesses. I was in Kano that day. I can prove it. Clinic records show someone used your identity. Okafor's eyes narrowed. Which means either you're lying, or someone's been systematically building a false narrative about you for months. Chidi's laugh crackled through the speaker. Ask her who else knew her medical details. Her national ID. Her phone records. My eyes locked with Mustafa's. The only person who had all that information was Zainab.
Zainab never made it to London. She was already dead. The news came through Miriam's phone, a WhatsApp message from her former colleague at the Ministry of Justice. Zainab's body found in a hotel room near the airport. Apparent suicide. Sleeping pills and a note confessing everything. Too convenient. Too clean. Chidi killed her, I said, watching through the glass as EFCC agents processed the information. She was the only one who could prove he manipulated her into gathering my personal information. Commander Okafor returned, his expression changed. Softer. Miss Amina, we've confirmed your alibi for July 15th. The Kano naming ceremony, 43 witnesses, photographs, video footage. You couldn't have been in Abuja. So you believe me? I believe someone went to extraordinary lengths to destroy you. He sat down heavily. The clinic in Abuja, we called them. They admitted their record system was hacked last August. Someone inserted false patient files. Dozens of them. Mustafa leaned forward. Dozens. Chidi Okonkwo wasn't just framing Amina. He was running a blackmail operation. Creating fake medical records, fake financial crimes, fake scandals, then extorting victims to make them disappear. We found evidence of 17 other targets. My stomach turned. The pregnancy test. Purchased online, marked with your name, planted in his villa as insurance. If you got too close, he'd threaten to leak it. Ruin your reputation. Make you unemployable. Okafor's jaw tightened. You weren't his first victim. You were just the most profitable, access to a billionaire husband. Through the speaker, Chidi's voice came cold. Amina always underestimated me. She thought she was the smart one. Where's the money? Mustafa demanded. The 800 million. Chidi laughed. Gone. Offshore accounts you'll never find. Actually, I said, pulling out my phone, I've been tracking it since chapter 8. And it's not in accounts. It's in something much more interesting.
The 800 million wasn't in banks. It was buried in a digital tomb that only a dead man could open. Chidi used something called a dead man switch protocol, I explained, pulling up my tracking data. The money's locked in a cryptocurrency code wallet that requires biometric verification every 72 hours. His fingerprint, specifically. Commander Okafor frowned. Meaning if Chidi dies or gets imprisoned and can't verify his identity every 3 days, the wallet automatically transfers everything to a designated charity. Permanently. Irreversibly. Mustafa went rigid. You're saying we can't touch the money as long as he's arrested? Worse. The 72-hour clock started when you arrested him 6 hours ago. We have 66 hours before 2.3 billion naira, not just Mustafa's 800 million, but money stolen from all 17 victims, goes to some random charity in the Cayman Islands. Can't we force him to transfer it? Okafor asked. Under duress. The blockchain verification system would detect it. Monitors heart rate, stress levels through his biometric watch. If he's being coerced, the transfer triggers the dead man's switch immediately. Chidi's voice through the speaker was pure satisfaction. I told you. You'll never see that money again. The room fell silent. Then Miriam spoke, her prosecutor voice cutting through, unless we make him believe he's won. All eyes turned to her. He wants freedom. Recognition. To prove he's smarter than everyone. She looked at me. What if we offer him a deal? Reduced sentence, no extradition, public acknowledgement of his genius in exchange for the money. The government doesn't negotiate with criminals, Okafor said. The government does when it's politically convenient. Miriam's smile was sharp. And when the criminal doesn't know the deal is fake. You want to con the con man, I said slowly. But we'd need something he wants more than freedom. Something worth 2.3 billion naira. The thing Chidi wanted most wasn't money. It was me. We set up the meeting in the EFCC interrogation room. Me, Chidi, one-way glass with everyone watching. Okafor wanted to wire me. I refused. This had to feel real. Chidi looked terrible, 3 days in custody, no sleep, his expensive shirt wrinkled. But his eyes still held that arrogant shine. Amina. He said my name like a prayer. Come to gloat. I came to offer you a deal. His eyebrow raised. I'm listening. Transfer the money back. All of it. In exchange, I'll testify that you were set up. That Mustafa framed you for his own crimes. My word against a corrupt billionaire. The media will eat it up. Chidi studied me. Why would you betray your husband? Because he's not my husband anymore. I leaned forward. I got what I needed, my family's debt cleared, my mother safe. Now I want out. Divorce, freedom, a clean slate. But I can't have that while you're locked up with leverage over me. The pregnancy test. The abortion records. Exactly. You release those, I'm ruined. Even if they're fake, the damage is done. I let my voice crack. So I'm offering you a trade. Your freedom for mine. Chidi's expression softened, the old him, the boyhood loved me, surfacing. And if I say yes? What happens after? This was it. The lie that had to land. We disappear together. Take a percentage of the money, say, 200 million, and leave Nigeria. Start over somewhere new. No more cons, no more games. Just us. The room was so quiet I could hear my heartbeat. Chidi reached across the table, took my hand. I knew you'd come back to me, he whispered. And through the glass, I saw Mustafa's face crumble. The biometric scanner smelled like antiseptic and desperation. Chidi signed the preliminary agreement, a fake document Miriam had drafted with enough legal jargon to look legitimate. Commander Okafor played his part perfectly, the reluctant government official being pressured by billionaire Mustafa to let the hacker go in exchange for returning the funds. You have 1 hour to transfer the money, Okafor said. Then we process your release paperwork. They brought in Chidi's laptop, his biometric watch, his phone. Everything needed to access the cold wallet. He sat in the interrogation room with me beside him, fingers poised over keys. Once I transfer this, he said quietly, there's no going back. I know. Your husband will destroy us. Hunt us down. He'll try. I squeezed his hand. But we'll be smarter. We always were. Chidi's fingers moved. Access codes. Biometric verification. The watch scanned his fingerprint, measured his heart rate, steady, calm, believing he'd won. The wallet opened, 2.3 billion naira across multiple cryptocurrencies. Where do I send it? He asked. I pulled up an account number on my phone. Here. It's untraceable. I set it up last week. Chidi paused, his programmer's instinct flickering. Let me verify the routing first. My heart stopped. If he dug too deep, he'd see the truth that the account wasn't untraceable. It was a direct pipeline to EFCC's recovery system, tagged with every victim's name, flagged for automatic distribution. Don't you trust me? I leaned my head on his shoulder, a gesture from our past. He relaxed. I do. I always have. His finger hit transfer. 2.3 billion naira began moving through the blockchain, irreversible, tracked by 17 government agencies and 12 international banks. It's done, Chidi said, smiling. Then Okafor walked in with handcuffs, and Chidi's face finally understood. I'd played him perfectly. Chidi screamed for 3 minutes straight. I watched without blinking. You lied. You used me. Amina, you. The door closed, cutting off his voice. Commander Okafor nodded to me. Well done, Miss Yusuf. We've recovered 2.1 billion naira so far. The remaining 200 million is still routing through offshore accounts, but we'll get it. Mariam appeared with paperwork. All 17 victims will receive their money back within 48 hours. Plus interest calculated by the court. Chidi Okonkwo faces 47 charges including fraud, identity theft, blackmail, and conspiracy to commit cybercrime. Minimum 25 years. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt hollow. Mustafa stood by the window, his back to me. We hadn't spoken since I'd held Chidi's hand in that room. It was an act, I said quietly. I know. I had to make him believe. I said I know. He turned, and his eyes were ancient. You did what needed to be done. You're very good at that. The compliment felt like a slap. The divorce papers are ready, Mariam said, sensing the tension. For your agreement. No contest, clean split. You receive 50 million naira settlement plus your freedom. Freedom. The word tasted like copper. There's one more thing, Okafor said, pulling up his tablet. We found something in Chidi's files. Evidence that your father, Alhaji Ibrahim Yusuf, didn't die of natural causes. My world tilted. What? He was poisoned. Slowly, over 6 months. Antifreeze in his tea. The mistress has been arrested. She was working with Chidi, I finished, pieces clicking into place. He killed my father. Started my family's death crisis. Orchestrated everything so I'd end up desperate enough to marry Mustafa. Why? My voice cracked. Why would he do all of this? Chidi had been in love with me since we were 14. And it had cuddled into something monstrous. The full confession came through his lawyer, a desperate bid for reduced sentencing. They showed me the recordings, years of them. Audio files of Chidi talking to himself, journals, obsessive documentation. Amina doesn't see me. Not really. She talks to me but looks past me, toward some future I'm not part of. Today she mentioned studying abroad. Without me. Like I'm just temporary. That was from 3 years ago. Her father wants her to marry rich. Traditional. Some Alhaji who cage her brilliance. I need to make sure that when she falls, I'm there to catch her. I need to become necessary. 2 years ago. Ibrahim Yusuf is the obstacle. As long as her family is stable, she'll never need me. But if they fall, if they need saving, maybe then she'll see what I've always been, her only real option. 18 months ago. 6 months before my father died. My hands shook holding the tablet. Miriam sat beside me in the EFCC conference room, her presence steady. He killed my father because he loved me. My voice was a whisper. He killed your father because he was mentally ill, Miriam corrected gently. Obsessive love disorder, the psychologists called it. Combined with narcissistic personality traits and high intelligence. A dangerous combination. He destroyed my entire life. My family. My education. My future. To make himself your savior. Mustafa's voice came from the doorway. He looked older, worn. And when you chose survival over him, it became about revenge. Making you suffer. Proving he was smarter. He was never smarter, I said, looking up. He was just willing to do things I'd never imagined. Actually, Commander Okafor entered with another file. There's someone else who imagined it. Someone who helped him plan your father's murder. Miriam had known everything from the beginning. The file Okafor placed on the table had Miriam's name on it. Phone records between her and Chidi, spanning 14 months. Encrypted messages. Bank transfers. The room went silent. Miriam. Mustafa's voice was barely human. She sat perfectly still, her elegant composure finally cracking. I didn't help him kill Ibrahim. I helped him target Amina's family for the death trap. My breath left my body. I was Mustafa's first wife for 30 years. 30 years of watching him marry younger women. Prettier women. Diminishing me with each new bride. Her voice was ice. When Chidi approached me 18 months ago through mutual legal contacts, he offered me something I'd wanted for years, revenge. You helped him destroy my family. I couldn't process it. I helped him create the financial crisis. Chidi killed your father on his own, that was his escalation, his madness. I didn't know about it until after. She looked at Mustafa. I wanted you to marry someone you'd actually pay attention to. Someone smart enough to threaten you. So when Chidi suggested framing Amina for the cryptocurrency theft, I agreed. You'd be so focused on her, you'd finally sign the divorce papers I'd been requesting for 5 years. Mustafa looked like he'd been shot. You betrayed me for a divorce. You betrayed our marriage 28 years ago when you brought home Zainab. Miriam's smile was bitter. I just waited for the right opportunity to return the favor. Zainab's dead because of this, I said quietly. Zainab's dead because Chidi panicked. I told him not to involve her, but he needed an inside source. That blood is on his hands. Commander Okafor moved toward Miriam. Hajiya Miriam Bello, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit. Wait, I said, standing. I'm not pressing charges. Sometimes revenge isn't worth the cost. Commander Okafor stared at me. Miss Yusuf, this woman conspired to destroy your family. I know what she did. I looked at Miriam, this woman who'd helped orchestrate my nightmare. But she was also the one who taught me how to build the legal case against Chidi. She helped me recover the money. She gave me the tools to save myself. That doesn't absolve her crimes. No. But it complicates them. I turned to Mustafa. Your wife, your first wife, spent 30 years being erased. Made invisible. Replaced. If I press charges, she goes to prison. But if you grant her the divorce she's been asking for, with fair settlement, and she agrees to testify against Chidi for everything she knows. Miriam's eyes met mine. For the first time, I saw something human in them. Gratitude. Respect. You'd let me go, she asked softly. I'd let you be free. The way you helped me become free. We are both women who were battered and caged by men who thought they owned us. I looked at Mustafa. The difference is, I'm choosing not to become like them. Mustafa stared at me for a long moment. Then, impossibly, he laughed, a broken, exhausted sound. You're not asking me. You're telling me. I'm asking. But I'll understand if you say no. He pulled out his phone, Called his lawyer. Draft divorce papers for Mariam. Fair terms, 150 million settlement. The house in Kaduna, full custody of adult children's inheritance. Immediately, Mariam's hands trembled. Commander Okofor shook his head. This is highly irregular. So is everything about this case, I said. Sometimes justice isn't about punishment. It's about breaking cycles. 3 weeks later, I sat in my own apartment in Lagos, bought with my 50 million settlement, when someone knocked. It was Hawa. Not all endings are happy. Some are just free. Hawa stood in my doorway holding 2 shopping bags and wearing jeans. I'd never seen her in anything but traditional dress. I left, she said simply. Left what? The compound. The marriage. All of it. She walked past me into my tiny apartment, so different from Mustafa's mansion. I used what you taught me about cryptocurrency to move my savings before he could freeze accounts. I'm the 3rd wife to file for divorce. Turns out, watching you win gave the rest of us ideas. I made tea while she talked. Hawa had enrolled in a business management program. She was 26 with no degree, but she'd been running a compound's finances for years. She had skills, just no paper to prove them. Mustafa's empire is crumbling, she said. The investigation into his government contracts revealed enough corruption that EFCC froze half his assets. He's not broke, but he's broken. I should have felt satisfaction. I felt tired. What about you? Hawa asked. Computer science genius with 50 million naira. What's next? I pulled out my laptop, showed her the company registration documents. I'm starting a cybersecurity firm, specializing in helping fraud victims recover stolen assets. I've already got 3 clients. Using everything Chidi taught you. Using everything everyone taught me. I smiled. Chidi taught me hacking. Mustafa taught me how rich men hide money. Mayum taught me legal strategy. You taught me that pretty cages are still cages. Hawa raised her teacup. 2 expensive educations. We drank. My phone buzzed, email from Bayero University. They wanted me to give a guest lecture on cybercrime prevention. The girl who'd been sold to save her family, invited back as an expert. I replied yes. Then I looked at Hawa. Want to be my business partner? She smiled like sunrise. I thought you'd never ask. Chidi got 32 years. Mustafa lost everything that mattered. And I got something better than revenge. I got myself back. The courtroom was packed when they read the verdict. Chidi didn't look at me. Good. I'd stopped looking at him months ago. My company, Secure Her Cybersecurity, had 15 employees now. All women. All survivors of digital fraud, revenge porn, financial abuse. Hawa ran operations. I ran the tech. We'd recovered 4.7 billion naira for 89 clients in 6 months. Forbes Nigeria called us the unlikely unicorn. I called us proof that the women men tried to break could build empires from the pieces. Mustafa showed up at my office once. Older, smaller somehow. I never apologized, he said. I never needed you to. I didn't invite him to sit. You were a transaction. I survived it. That's enough. He left his business card anyway. I threw it away after he was gone. That night, I got a message from an unknown number. They're forcing my daughter to marry. She's 17. Can you help? I looked at Hawa across our office. She nodded. I typed back, yes. We can help. Tell me everything. The end. Or is it? Drop a fire if you want. The Daughter's Revenge, Part 3 of the series. Dark Truth. Want to know what really happened in that hotel room? Zainab didn't kill herself. She didn't even die the day they reported. She's in witness protection in Ghana, living under a new name, testifying remotely against a trafficking network she uncovered through Chidi's operation. The suicide was staged by EFCC to protect her. The sleeping pills were props. The note was written by an agent. The body in the photos. A Jane Doe from the morgue who matched her build. Why the elaborate cover-up? Because Zainab had discovered Chidi wasn't just stealing money and blackmailing victims, he was selling personal information to human traffickers. The fake medical records he created. Shopping list for kidnappers targeting vulnerable women. 17 victims of fraud. 43 potential victims of trafficking. Amina never knew. Mustafa never knew. Even Miriam didn't know the full scope. Only Zainab knew, because she'd been his inside source and saw the entire operation. When she tried to back out, Chidi threatened to expose her. When she agreed to testify, EFCC had to fake her death to keep her alive. She's 28 now. Runs a women's shelter in Accra. Uses her settlement money to protect girls from becoming what she almost was, property. She sent Amina one message, 6 months after her death. I'm sorry I couldn't say goodbye. Thank you for making me want to live. Z. Amina keeps it in her phone. Undeleted. A reminder that sometimes the best revenge is survival. And sometimes the people you think are dead are just free.